Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our commission meeting. Kate, do you want to call it to order?
Yes, we will call this September meeting to order.
Great. Thank you. So do we want to review the May minutes since that was the last time we had a meeting? Did you guys all get a chance to look over them?
No, I didn't. I can't download PDFs. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to get my daughter-in-law to teach me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, as long as we have 4 out of 5 of you, I think that's, Michelle's the master on this, but then I think that's still a quorum,
Yes.
right? Yeah, because we have 7 people total, so that should be fine.
Do people need a minute to read them? Yeah, let's see. Raise your hand if you would like an extra minute to read them. Everybody, I think everybody's read the minutes. I can move to approve them if someone wants a second. Okay. Janet, saw your hand. Janet can second the minutes. They're approved from May.
I'll print it now. Thank you.
And then Allie, the second thing, I guess you want to go over the current
The mental health
agenda?
task force.
Health
Yeah.
task force.
Yeah, so as you all may have heard, since we've met in the beginning of May, and there was another death by suicide at the high school, the town created a mental health task force in conjunction with multiple partners, particularly the schools, the community fund, the local mental health professionals, child guidance, family centers, kids in crisis. I don't want to leave anyone out. Laurel House, some local department heads, the clergy. Help me, Cynthia, if I'm forgetting anyone. There actually were about 43 people on the task force. It got really large because there was such an interest and people want to be involved and help and do something. So we met once as the larger group, and then we followed the guidance from the experts. Oh, and also the hub. They've been, sorry, I should have mentioned them. They have been key in helping us with all of this planning. So the hub recommended that we, and the other experts, that right at that time, the first meeting we had was in May, and at that time, like post this tragedies, you're actually not supposed to do anything educational or really like kind of aggressive. You're supposed to do more offering support and resources to the community because it's too acute. So they say to wait 4 to 6 months, which brings us to the fall. So that's what we did over the summer. And then what they wanted us to do was come up with a post-vention suicide plan, or actually untimely death, we're calling it, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a death by suicide when there's, a tragedy of another young child who died. So we had a smaller group because obviously 43 people is a rather large group to work with. So they recommended having some smaller, like kind of key players. And there was, I think, about 13 of us who did a 2-day training, and the hub led us and walked us through the steps to come up with a plan of what we would do. God forbid there was another tragedy in our town. So we've almost finished creating that plan. And also Lawrence Funeral Home is on there. They said that that's a key player also, obviously, because they're hands-on with families when there is a death. So the goal of that was just to kind of come up with this plan so that like I said, if something happens, here's what we do. So there's a chain of command, there's a group text of these people, and then we identify who would be like the main contact for that family. Actually, the police would be the ones that identify who that main contact, whether it's a parent or an adult child or whoever. Sometimes it's a friend. It could be a family friend. Who knows? But anyway, so we're finalizing that, and that was very productive. And then they said now that we're coming to the 4 to 6 month phase, that we can develop subcommittees, because again, that larger group is too many people to work with, and we'll periodically meet as the larger group. So we're developing, actually this coming week, we broke it down to behavioral health and programming. So we will come up with things that we can do to offer to the community. You might have, the school district, the first day of school, they had an early dismissal. And for those of you who have school-age children, and they said that they were, I believe in the email it said they were doing a suicide training or prevention training with all of the staff. And what they did, I think, is what's called QPR training, which is about an hour and a half. I think it's question, persuade, respond. Does that sound right, Cynthia or Janet? You guys have been in those meetings. Yeah, you're muted, Janet. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure that's what they did, but that is something that we're probably going to be offering to the community. It's only an hour and a half long, so it's more manageable than, say, a whole 8-hour mental health first aid training. And then we're also going to be looking at what kinds of programs and speakers we can bring. So there was talk about doing something with Silver Hill on resiliency. So we're going to have our first meeting on programming and the behavioral health programming on Monday. Also involved is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the Connecticut chapter, the leader of that. She's also involved in this. And Janet and Cynthia, if I left any key players out, please remind me, because I'm at home, I don't have my list in front of me. But there are a lot of involved, many community members involved. And then the other one is doing a mental health needs assessment of the town. So that's another subcommittee that's going to meet this coming week. And I believe there have been assessments done. I think Greenwich did one. By the way, we did kind of, Greenwich Human Services was very helpful, the director, Demetria, in guiding us and sharing her Greenwich's post-vention suicide plan. So we use that as a kind of, like a starting point. So David Knopf in the health department will be on that committee, and this is something that's of interest to him too, because he does a community needs assessment. So we're going to again look to the professionals for guidance, but that will be the other subcommittee coming up this week. So the goal for that will be obviously to see not just school-aged children, but the entire community, seniors included. How we're going to go about this, I'm not sure. I've never done something like this before, but we're going to figure it out. And see what the needs are in the community, and then come up with plans of what we can offer. Another thing along with that, that actually wasn't done necessarily by the task force, but I don't know if you've all seen, but after the first deaths by suicide, and what we heard from a lot of parents, and we have been hearing for a long time, is that it's really hard to access mental health care and to get an appointment because wait lists are long, or just people don't know where to start. So on the town webpage, on the main page, there's a tab, it says mental health resources. And please share this with any of your friends or neighbors or whatever, if anyone ever brings up, the need for that. We have a list of providers that I personally have spoken to, each of them, that are taking new clients, and I have the links for all of them, and some take insurance, some don't. And I actually just 2 weeks ago reached out to all of them again to make sure that they should still be on that list, or we can also add new ones as they come up. Some people have reached out personally to me, or for instance, Child Guidance Center originally had a long waiting list, and then at our last meeting, Jessica Welt, who's the executive director, said they actually don't have one, so then we added them back on the list. So that we've heard feedback that's been a really helpful resource for people. Yeah.
Is that all communicated with the schools so that like the guidance
Yes.
counselors know? Cool.
Oh yeah. We were working really closely with Scott McCarthy and with Shirley Klein, and of course Dr. Alley, but in these sub meetings, the post-vention meetings and subcommittees, Scott McCarthy, who I forget what his title is, but he's a psychologist, and he's in charge of I think he's like the school climate officer and in charge of special ed student services. So we've been working really closely with him and Shirley Klein. So yeah, definitely we're trying to all be on the same page. That's the whole goal really of this whole greater task force, is that we're all working together and on the same page. Anyway, so on there's also other resources. As you may have heard, in July, there's a new 988 suicide prevention line. Not just prevention or not just suicide, but mental health, like emergency kind of line. And it's nationwide, and it's just like 911, but it's 988. And 24/7, there's clinical staff answering the phones. I think some states have not fully rolled it out, but Connecticut has. I haven't heard any feedback yet about how it's working, but what a great resource, right? That 24/7 people can call, as opposed to the crisis line. This is a direct, you speak to someone just like if you call 911. So anyway, so we're gonna periodically update that mental health resources website and um, and add more clients. And we're gonna do that indefinitely. I think it's just a great resource for everyone to have, right? Instead of
That's
people
so
having to
great.
navigate it all on their own and not get phone calls back or whatnot. So anyway, so any questions about that or anything I'm missing, Cynthia or Janet? No? Okay. As you might have seen, we discussed at the last meeting, but it was before the actual mental health first aid training. I think I'd mentioned it and it was in the minutes, that we had been talking, and actually at one of the HSBC meetings, Janet, it came up before the tragedies happened. There was talk about with the ARPA mental health money that we've been allotted. Someone had brought up like, well, maybe we should do mental health first aid training for the town with that ARPA money. And then as soon as the first two deaths by suicide happened, we immediately ran with it and started that. So we had multiple trainings. The first one was May 19th and May 20th, 2-day trainings. We did this at Post 53, thanks to Joe Larchevek, because it was great. All of our trainings were held there. And they were free of charge to any Darien resident or someone who serves the Darien community. So we've had people from various agencies and from the library, from the Y, from the schools, the Rowan Center, and some of the church, some of the clergy, lots of people. And so the first one was filled up the first day, May 9th, that 2-day session. And then people asked for if we could do one on a weekend for those who work and couldn't make it during the week. So we immediately scheduled 2 more sessions, another 2-day session in June, and then one on a Sunday. So also the clergy would be able, no, we did a Saturday after that for the clergy. So clergy can't do it on Sunday, but anyway. So those 2 were pretty much full and very successful. I think the community is just thirsty for knowledge and just so eager to have resources and understanding and knowledge and what they can do when there's a crisis or they're dealing with a loved one or even just someone in public, who knows. So those have been led by Dawn Roy. She's amazing. She's been doing this forever. And the feedback from them was just tremendous. Every person who attended it just thought, okay, you were there. Well, you were at one of them. Were any, and Janet, you did it years ago, and Cynthia was there. Anyway, so we then added more sessions in July, again, and that's when we had one on a full day Saturday, and then we also had another 2-day one. So we did a total of, what is that, 5?
Wow.
5 sessions. And there is still an interest in it. So at the last session, Dawn, the instructor, said, economically, it makes more sense if you just get trained instead of paying me each time. So I got trained in August. So it was a 3-day full day. It was Zoom, which is not ideal. I prefer in person, but that's all they're offering right now. So I got trained, and they recommend that you do it with 2 trainers. If you're doing it with a group of 30 people. So Paula Sutliff, who's the public health nurse in the health department, she is very interested in doing it, and she's signed up to do it in October. So after that, the 2 of us can indefinitely offer it to the town. Now there's materials that we have to pay for, which we'll use ARPA money, but we won't have to use that chunk of change to pay Dawn as the instructor. So our plan is once Paul is certified that we will get back on the ground running and offering this again. So anyway.
That's great.
Yeah, it's hard because this training was really geared towards, they offer these trainings online, but I think that's something that you have to do in person. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know, even the training for the trainers not in person is not ideal. I don't know. For some places, I guess that works, but I plan on doing it in person. So anyway, So we'll see. So hopefully by the end of October, we'll get those going again. And then of course we'll advertise and it's like the first, first come, first serve. And as long as there's a demand, we'll keep offering it. Anyway, any questions or anything on that? No. Back to school, we had a successful back to school program this year. There's still a few people straggling coming in, right, Cynthia? A couple people.
Yeah,
We did gift cards again. A few more. We did gift cards. The clients love it. It's so simple. We give, and thank you to the community fund because they also gave us money towards the gift cards. So we gave each school-age child a $50 Target gift card, so the parents can do the shopping on their own. It's much better. And nowadays, with so much online stuff, they don't even, the younger kids still need stuff, but like the older kids, they don't need that many school supplies either. So this is good. They could buy a pair of sneakers, they could buy clothes, whatever it is that they want. It's so easy for us, and the clients really seem to like it. So that's what we plan on doing for the future. Very simple too. Everyone's happy. We had 71 kids this year, Cynthia? 72.
72.
And then a few that are still coming in. What we've realized, we were like, that's a little less than we've had in previous years, but a lot of our families, the kids are graduating from high school and going off to college. So, so we're like, we don't have a lot of younger kids right now of our clients. So, which is great to see them grow and succeed. So that's anything else with back to school, Cynthia?
No.
No. We also work closely with Kate Barbieri at the Board of Ed. She's the one who's in charge of the free and reduced lunch. So we had the forms available for our clients so that because they have to fill it out every year. So we had it available. So then we would inter-office those to Kate just to make it simpler for the clients rather than them having to mail them or drop them off themselves. So trying to streamline it for everybody. Energy assistance, it's starting over, I feel like, and it just ended, but it's starting again because they had extended it again this year because they had extra funds. So it's starting on the 19th, Cynthia, right? On Monday. We'll start with so the energy assistance is for low-income families or any resident, singles too, and it helps with their home heating costs for the winter. It doesn't cover all of it necessarily, although last year because they had extra funding, a lot of our oil customers got most of their deliveries covered, which is pretty amazing. Especially this year. So we'll see what happens. So we start taking the oil clients first because they can start getting deliveries on November 1st. So we want them all set and ready to go. And then the utility clients, which are, electricity and propane and a few gas. Electricity are a large amount of all of the heights, and all of the heights is electricity. And then Avalon is propane and the Royal is gas, right, Cynthia? Gas with the Royal is their heat, yeah. So anyway, so we'll start those in mid-October. They have until the spring to apply, and they get basically a lump sum applied to their utility bill. Whereas the oil deliveries, they can have multiple deliveries. They just have to call in when they're down to a quarter of a tank, and then they can get, depending on their income, they get more deliveries. Some, if they're on the higher end, then they might not get as many as obviously someone on the lower end. But it's based on income and household size. So we're doing that in person. Everything's back in person now. This last couple of years, we were running out to people's cars and all that stuff, but now we're doing it in person, which is nice. And another good thing about that is they also do not have an asset limit this year again. So since COVID, they lifted the asset limit, which is huge for particularly our seniors, like seniors who are on fixed incomes but might have an IRA or something like that. So we had some seniors last year that we work with that were able to apply for this, which was great. So that's huge. So that'll be helpful, especially since oil prices are off the charts. It's going to be scary. So I think I'm assuming that we're going to get more people interested in this because of how how the economy is and how prices are. But we shall see. we sent out letters to everybody. This is what we do every year. We sent out a letter to everybody who applied the year before. Actually, I think we send like for the last 2 years because some people miss a year here and there. But yeah, so that will go until the springtime. Anything else with that, Cynthia?
No.
Any questions?
Can people apply to that anytime in the process?
Yep, anytime. There's deadlines, and we posted it through social media, and it's gonna be in the biweekly newsletter. Have you guys signed up for that? The one that comes from Monica, every 2 weeks. Did you guys know about that? It's kind of like a town-wide newsletter, and it gives highlights from what's going on, anything important, or various department announcements and stuff like that. So Marley Hayes did put out last week to the social media and to the local media, announcing that we were starting this in September. So yeah, but people can apply anytime. There are deadlines, like in March is the last time you can apply for oil deliveries. But for utilities, they can apply up until the spring. So, but usually a lot of our regular clients call and want to come in right away. I'm like, you have time. Be patient. We can't do everybody. Right?
They've
It's
been
like
calling.
we can only do a couple at a time. Anyway, so that's about to begin. Renters, Cynthia, do you want to fill us in? This is her baby.
So we are finishing up renters this month. So there's still time to apply, and we've gotten a lot of applications. A lot of new people too. They've heard from friends. Also from the Royal, we've gotten new contacts, so it's been great.
Yeah, we sent a letter to all the residents at the Royal, letting them know about this, since there's so many new residents.
So we've gotten new applicants.
Which is great. Actually, that reminds me, we also got, we got the list of residents for the Heights too. So, because there's a lot of new residents there. So we're gonna be sending out letters to every household there, letting them know about the energy assistance and about what services we offer. So, sorry to interrupt, Cynthia, but just made me think of that. So you're almost done with renters. It's usually about like 40 people?
Yeah. So that'll be ending
So
at the end.
just to refresh, and actually, Bern, maybe you aren't even aware of this. So renters rebate is for anyone over 65 or on Social Security disability, and and low income. They have to have lived in Connecticut for a year, right, Cynthia? Prior to applying, and show proof of rent for the whole year, so right now she was doing it for 2021, and proof of utility payments. And then if they meet the criteria, they actually get a check in the mail in October-ish, up to $700, which is nice. I mean, and as we said before, the timing is great. It's right around the holidays, so it's just a great program. And that's, anyway, anything to add? No? Okay, any old business? Anyone? Nothing? You're all muted. Any new business?
What have you done lately?
Not much. We've just been relaxing, waiting for the fall, Yes, it's been, well, I think the whole community, it's been quite a few traumatic, since March, 6 months, right? But I know the schools are doing great things. There's, for kids in high school, anyone who participates in an extracurricular activity, there's what they call like a commitment meeting. And in the past, it really focused on like substance abuse and really primarily on substance abuse and taking care of yourself. But I guess this year, and I haven't gone yet with my daughters, but their focus is on mental health. So they're taking a totally different approach, which is pretty awesome. And apparently all the new, like the incoming freshmen, when they were issued their IDs, the 988 number is a sticker was put on their IDs. So they haven't given them to the older kids because I've asked my children, but I'm hoping that they'll try to give it to all of the kids, but just to get the word out there. So And I know that there's all kinds of initiatives that the schools are doing, and I can't speak on those, but definitely the town and school, we're all feeling that mental health has to be a priority, right? Anyway, anything else?
We received the vouchers for the farmer's market. I don't think you
Oh, I
mentioned
forgot
that.
all about that. Oh, yeah, you can fill them in on that if you, I totally forgot about that. It's not even on my agenda.
Was it in July, I believe we received them? The end
Yeah.
of July?
Do you want to tell them about that?
So yeah, it's a program that the vouchers are for $21 for seniors, low income. And we've gotten a lot of new applicants for that too. So it's an exciting program. They're able to go to any farmer's market in Connecticut and they really enjoy it. So they're able to go get produce, no baked goods, no honey, but it's a nice treat for them to get.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money, but all the clients who've received it, they want to come back and they ask for it. They're like, did you get the coupons yet? So it's just like you probably only go once because farmers markets are expensive, but it's a nice little treat. They all really seem to like it.
Mhm.
Wish it was more, but we'll take what we can get. Thanks, I forgot about that. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Anything else?
Yeah, I have something, Ally, and that is, I sit here and I listen to everything you're doing, and I feel like I'm not doing anything. And so I would hope you would call on me if there's anything I can do. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. I think spreading the word of what our department does is really important and letting people know because it surprises me how many people don't know. And we try to get the word out there and make announcements in local media and all that kind of stuff. But I think if you guys can share with people you come in contact with in the community what we do and that we're available for help, for any Darien resident, and not just low income. Obviously, we help people with all kinds of issues that might come up, and certainly with mental health issues. You know, we work closely with the police department too, and they refer people to us when they're concerned about them. Sometimes the people want our help, sometimes they don't, but we try. We reach out to all of them. So yeah, if you can just keep spreading the word of what we do so that people know we're here, that would be great. Thank you.
Ally, if we wanted to do something like put a letter to the editor, or should we run it by you, or like, is there anything you'd like us to do for that, or just on
You mean
our?
like as the commission, write a letter to the
Yeah,
editor?
yeah.
Just kind of telling them about what we do? Well, I think that's a great idea. If you wanted to, that'd be wonderful. And it could be coming from you guys as the Human Service Commission. And we can give you feedback and input if you like. Sure, I think that would be wonderful, actually. That's another good way to get it out there and get the word out.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo what Michael was saying, like the amount of work that you all have done, especially in the last 6 months with the mental health concerns, is, I feel like the community, not only should we make sure everybody knows about the resources, but truly just everything that you're doing to help support kind of behind the scenes that people don't see is just extremely impressive.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, and one other thing that we were doing too is the filling in the blanks. We still are doing that. All of this, so that restarted too. So the reason I was thinking of that is we do put stuff in the school wires, but we don't reach everyone. We reach people in the schools, I think,
Right.
in the families, but it's hard to reach the greater community. So if you're willing to do that, that'd be great, Kate. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Is there anything also upcoming? Because I know our next meeting's in November, like anything Thanksgiving wise? Because I know you start to do the,
Yep.
isn't there a turkey or?
Yep. So Thanksgiving, we usually we've partnered with Person to Person in the past, and over the last couple of years with food insecurity. Although I don't think that's as much of an issue right now, but I mean in terms of food availability is what I was thinking that they had to scale down. Remember, like the last couple of years, they were only giving out turkeys. So what we started doing was giving gift cards to all of our seniors and families. We mail them Stop and Shop gift cards. And then those who were interested in also going to person are able to do that. So that, we'll advertise that and ask for donations of gift cards. we'll do that. We'll probably put that out there at the beginning of November, because I think if we do it too soon, it's gonna, it's
Yeah.
like they have Christmas decorations already out and in the stores or something like that. We don't want to go down that route. So that will be in November. Yeah, that we'll be doing that. And October, since we don't meet in October, is also Medicare open enrollment, where the senior from October 15th through December 7th every year, that anyone on Medicare can review their Medicare coverage and make changes to it. So as you guys have heard over the years, that's quite time consuming for Cynthia and myself. We actually have to limit how many we can do, because if you're meeting with an individual, it takes a good hour. If it's a couple, it could take up to 2. And obviously this is our crazy time of year. So actually the senior center is also going to have, and I have to coordinate this with Beth Paris, but they're going to have a volunteer from SWACA, who's the agency that trains us, that people can sign up for, to meet with the volunteer there as well. So that's giving us extra hands. So I think what we'll say is, we have limited options available for sort of between Cynthia and me. And then when those spots fill up, then there's availability down at the senior center. So that's something new this year. So that'll be helpful, because it's hard to we don't want to turn people away, but there's only so many hours in the day. So we only can do so many a week. So yeah, that'll be October and November. And then of course in November, we'll probably start working on our, adopting families and seniors, which many of you have been involved in. Thank you. So yeah, there's a lot on the horizon, that's for sure.
Wow.
But it's good, we manage. We just prepare for this time of year to be hectic. So, but it's all good. We have a good team in our department, so. Anything else? All right, do you want to, oh, what?
No, what was Janet saying? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear you, Janet. Ah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. We can read lips.
Should I move to adjourn?
Sure.
Okay. Someone want a second? Michael?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. Stay well.
Thanks,
Good to
everyone.
see you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.